my product line was huge. It was wide, diba?
It was crazy, man. I didn't know what to get, dude.
I Southern Tier, Flying Dog, Victory, all of those beers. But at that time, that was the proper business model because there's not the local brewing industry was not present. It was not active yet then, right?
Yeah.
So you needed
This
to go
talk is
wide
making
then.
me thirsty. Sorry. Episode number 4. We've got Jimmy Araneta, Jimmy the Guru, Jimmy the Pioneer, Jimmy the Craft Beer Guy. Here he is. Enjoy this episode.
But for me, it wasn't about the beer. It was about the memories with my abuelito.
Of course. How
So
can
for,
you?
for me, yeah. So for me, beer always brings back good memories. So from there, yeah. So
It started.
from
Oh,
there,
by the way,
hey John Joe.
this
Hey,
guy,
John.
yeah, there he is, John Joe. Yeah.
Just setting up. You
No
guys said
worries,
nothing.
man. You know
Okay.
what? It doesn't matter, pal. You can set up. We're on. You know what I mean? We're still talking here. So Jim. Yeah. What do you call that? So your memories with your grandfather.
Yeah,
And-
we
and-
weren't. Yeah.
And so you were trying all this beer, but do you remember a place in Manila? I forget now, called Planet Beer.
Yeah, that was in 90s. In the 90s.
That was
But I didn't even go to that place once.
not once. I think
Not
I
once.
went twice, but it was not craft at all.
It was basically all the macros and they were priced really high, right? So for me, it's
Yes.
like, why at that time it was like, I don't know, a couple of $100 pesos in the 90s.
Correct. You're
You know,
right.
and they're basically just foreign versions of our local pale pilsen, no?
That's
So why
right.
pay
That's right.
why pay for that when you get something as good or even better at
Correct.
so it did not turn me on, Planet
So wait,
Planet
so
beer.
craft beer. I mean,
Now
when-
we're gonna move forward, I know later, but Beer's
Yeah.
Paradise did, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
So
Many
there
years
a lot.
now, yeah.
But I
Planet
mean,
beer
in your
wasn't for
case,
me, yeah.
in your case, like you're with your grandfather trying out this beer that he would take home, and then
Yeah.
when did you discover craft beer? I mean,
So,
when
because-
did you know this is craft beer?
because of the good memories I had drinking beer. Every time I traveled after that, I'd always ask for the local. When I travel, always gonna have something local. What's something that's made here, and that's how I discovered craft beer. No, whether I go to Europe or when I went to South America, I tried. But my favorite one were the U.S. beers. So for me, that was like aha moment was like when I had my first Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Wow.
It's like this was in the late 90s already.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was like, from being used to just lagers and light beers, I said, whoa, this one is so much flavor. It had so much body. So it really got me. I guess that was the first real craft beer that I
But it
tried,
wasn't too bitter, right? It was just right.
Yeah. Now, in
because-
fact, that's something too light for me to drink. No, I don't even drink pale. I don't drink pale ales anymore, right? But at
That's
that
it.
time, when you're drinking the macros and then you drink a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, it's like boom, yeah. So
Dude,
for me,
yeah.
my favorite were the U.S. beers, no.
Okay.
At
West
that time,
Coast.
no?
West Coast.
West Coast, because that's where I spend most of my time.
Of your
So
time, yeah.
for me, my grandfather's beer were basically just beers to
Just down.
down, right? So I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
really. So I just try beers. Oh, this is local from here. But the first craft beer, I guess, was the Sierra Nevada. That blew me away.
That was it. It just hooked you in. Dude,
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
time you hooked me up with a craft beer, it blew my freaking palate.
And I think those were just basically Gordon beers
exactly
at that time, right?
At that time.
Basic craft beers, right?
I was not used to it because of all the big beer type.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up with San Miguel and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was just single dimension. That was the
Yeah.
only thing, right?
even
And then-
even a Gordon beer was so complex already for you, no? At that time when you started.
It was exactly.
Yeah.
And just wow. So after that, when you start looking for it. You start, in this case, West Coast. You start looking for the hops, right?
I was looking for the West Coast beers West Coast beers, and because I couldn't get it here for many years, no, and then there was a segue. Okay, then Beers Paradise came in, Mari, John
Yeah.
Joe, even before
Mhm.
I started importing, right? So that again, that gave me another wow, Belgian beers,
What did they have in Paradise? What did they have that?
Yeah.
What did they
Bush.
offer?
They had
Bush.
Bush. That was the best
Then
seller.
Bush was there. Was the other one? A lot. Grimbergen was there.
Yeah.
Even the Ho Gardens were
Yep.
already good
Hogarden
at
was
that
there.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
a
lot of
lot,
Belgian. A lot
a
of
lot of
Belgian
Belgians.
beers.
Yeah, a lot of the Trappist Roquefort.
Mhm.
Those were already there, right? And I'd get
Okay, and then,
hammered on beer when I'd go
so
there.
what made you finally say, okay, I'm crossing the? And by that time, Jim, you were still with the air conditioning.
I
That
was
was
still
your
there with.
business.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you decided, okay, this is good stuff, man. They don't have this in
Yeah,
Manila. So when you
yeah, yeah,
traveled back to Manila, you were looking for it. It
yeah,
brought you
yeah,
back, right?
yeah,
But then you said,
yeah.
where the hell am I gonna get this? So you
But
decided, boom, I gotta bring this
yeah,
in.
I had the Belgians here, but I didn't have my Sierra Nevada here, right?
Right,
I didn't have
right.
the West Coast hops. So that's when I started saying, okay, I'm gonna start communicating with the breweries in the West Coast. Maybe I sent 20 different letters, and most of them said, "Oh, we have no capacity. We're not exporting it to Asia." This is in 2007. Craft beer was not, wasn't
Yeah.
as it was 3%, I think, of the market then in the U.S. In the U.S.,
Yeah.
huh? Which is huge if you compare it, which is already huge if you compare it to other countries. So now I don't know. I think it's the last. I don't check anymore, but the
Yeah,
last time
yeah,
I
of
checked, it
course.
was close to, I don't know, 15 or 20%, diba?
Right.
Of the market,
So
But
you're
of course,
sending out
it's,
letters. You're sending out letters.
most of
Bahala
them
na.
say,
Okay.
including Sierra Nevada,
Okay.
and so I remember them telling me that we're not expanding to Asia. We're only selling right now to the UK. That was their only foreign market at that time. But I
Right.
still kept on sending emails. The
Emails.
first the
Yeah.
first one who approved and was interested in guess in exporting to the Philippines was
Stone.
Ballast Point.
Ah, Ballast Point. That's right.
Ballast Point.
That was
Yes.
Ballast Point.
Yeah. So that's the
Wow.
first.
So
That's the first.
they're the first ones who said, okay, we want to be in the Philippines. Jim, take
They
us
were
there.
they were really small, right? Not like
Yeah,
what
very small.
Yeah, they were really small, and so that was the first brewery. My first beer business trip, I went to Ballast Point. Was the first brewery I visited, and I
Right.
met with their whatever the second guy in command. It was just easy to move around then, no, easy to meet with the people who make decisions right away.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Right.
met with them, and there went in and said, okay, let's go. It was also easier to import back then.
That's what I want to know. I mean, how is it different when you started and you started bringing in all this beer from the West Coast to the Philippines? What was
Yeah,
that like? Because, I mean, one thing is to sit down with them. Okay, we'll send you a couple of pallets or whatever. How many
yeah,
cases do you want? But
yeah,
now it's how do you bring that in? What was
yeah.
that experience for you?
It was the first 5 years was a there was no hassles the first 5 years. They weren't as strict with the CPRs then.
Ah.
All you needed was an LTO, and and pay the proper taxes, and you'd
Okay,
get
for
the
those
beer
who
you
don't
need.
know what Jim is talking about, can
Yeah,
you please
yeah.
explain what is the LTO and the CPR? Okay.
So before you can right now, before you can import a beer into the country, you first have to register the brewery that you import from, right? So for example, Stone Brewing. So I register Stone Brewing, and they give me a basic and LTO. That's the first step of the
That's the
of the
license to operate, right?
Operate.
operate.
License to
Yeah. So
operate. Yeah.
basically, you can deal with Stone. You can import. Basically, that means you can import Stone into your country. But
Right.
after you get the LTO, you have to register. You have to register every product. So that's called a certification of product registration (CPR).
That's CPR.
So
Every
now
single variant.
in 2013, they started requiring every single variant. Yun, madugo yun.
Oh,
That one's pretty tough, right? So
right.
if you remember in the past, Mari, Janjo, my product line was huge, was wide, diba?
Mhm.
Was
Yeah.
crazy, man. I
But
didn't know what to get, dude. You
I,
just had a
I
wall.
Southern Tier, Flying Dog, Victory, all of those beers. But at that time, that was the proper business model because there's not the local brewing industry was not present, was not active yet then, right?
Yeah.
So you needed
This
to go
talk is
wide
making
then.
me thirsty. Sorry.
The only
See,
one I
I'm
can
getting
remember,
thirsty.
the only one
yeah,
I
John,
can
John.
remember at the time was the brewer. Oh, what was it? It's not the brewery. The distillery. They had different
Yeah,
beers too.
they had it was basically distillery, and then they had their bar, no. And me, I
Mhm.
was just distributing to F&B accounts. Yeah, but
Mm.
I had a lot of product. Yeah, no, there
Wow.
were. Who was our
How many
first?
how many SKUs? What do they call them? SKUs, right? How many
Yeah,
SKUs was in their heyday the most you've had in
I had
your
a,
place?
I had 100 SKUs. Now
Holy dude.
you can't do that anymore, man. But
There's no
then
way. No
that
way.
was that was the model because it was only distillery and myself, right? So you had
Mm.
distilleries, European beers, and then you had my West Coast, New World West Coast beers, and then Beer Paradise kind of faded away.
Yeah.
Diba? At that time, yeah, you know.
So I
When
guess people
Poblacion
really they
started.
look for the hops. They look for the
That's
hoppy
the
beers.
Beer Paradise story is interesting, but that's something we can't talk about.
Why not?
That's
Yeah.
for
Now
private.
that dude, now that you said we can't talk about it, I wanna know, man.
But seriously, yeah, anyway, you can
Yeah.
edit it. No, you can edit
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
What
don't you know?
happened?
You guys don't know the story.
No.
I
So
know
there were,
it's
No.
yeah,
the thing with
yeah, oh,
Poblacion. When Poblacion started, that's when they disappeared. And then
yeah,
they couldn't load up stocks anymore. People kept going, but they were just selling the same beer and it was old
yeah,
stock already. And then
yeah.
all the
Oh,
posters they
expired
had,
beer. Expired beer.
not expired. It's that you can tell it was getting smaller and smaller and
Smaller,
smaller
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
smaller.
Oh
And
yeah.
shit.
then till they were just pushing local beers,
Yeah,
which
but
was
I think
weird.
Jim knows something else.
Hmm.
Well,
Come on, Jim.
that's one part of it. The other part is they lost focus. Being in the red light district, these
Mm.
two Belgians, yeah, who owned the company, ended up having what I hear from when I went back there. That's the stories I got from the staff, no, because someone took over, some Filipino
Yeah.
guy,
Hmm.
yeah. And I was told that each of these Belgian guys ended up, because they're in the red light district, ended up having 6 or 7 or 8 different girlfriends. So they had to, so thus they lost focus in the business, and thus they had to escape, right?
Right,
Basically.
right, right.
So this is from the new Beer Paradise owners, no?
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened. Oh, this guy, whatever, I forgot their name already, Michelle or something like that, had to leave because he's got whatever. He just threw a number there, 8 girlfriends, and the other one had 8 girlfriends. I don't know exactly but anyway, they were,
So they
red light
lost
district.
focus. They lost focus.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Their
Yeah.
focus was elsewhere, right?
So okay, so Jim, you already had your stock coming in, and your first shop was like a cross with a museum or some what do you call it?
Art gallery. Yes, yes.
Okay, did you
Where
call
was
it the
this?
bottle shop? Did you call it the bottle shop yet? Not yet.
No, Janjo, this is called Mari. This is called the tasting room at
That's it.
Greystone,
The
because it was
tasting room.
because Greystone was an art gallery, and they had offered me space for 6 months, and I said, okay, let's put up our whatever, our bar, our chillers there,
What year
and
was
that became
this? What year was this?
2011. Yeah.
2011.
So for
Okay.
me, that was a test to see if I could kind of set up my own retail, no, rather than
Right.
just selling direct to be a B2B, no.
Right, right, right.
This is yeah. So that did well, and after that contract with them ended, I started searching for space
Your
to
own
put up
spot.
to continue it, no.
Yeah, yeah, and that's Magallanes
It's
Golden
Magallanes
Beer Exchange. Because
Global Beer
okay,
Exchange, yeah.
but before you opened Magallanes, you were still doing the air conditioning. I'm just trying to figure out the timeline. I mean, here you are with your main business, which is like your bread and butter, right?
Okay,
And here
yeah.
comes this. This is more like a passion thing. This is
Yeah,
your
yeah.
passion project, right? So now here comes your passion project becoming more of a real business, right? So
Yeah.
when did you just say, forget the air conditioning and I'm going to this one?
I stopped the AC business in 2012 or 2013.
Also, it was very close, right after.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right after. Fantastic. And then
Now that
you found yeah.
now that I'll tell you why I stopped off record.
Or we'll put bleep, bleep.
Yeah, so I was looking. Yeah, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, here's what we're going to do. We have a segment in this show. Okay. We have a segment in this show called This or That.
What are you
So,
drinking?
dude, what
Jim.
else am I going to drink?
Yeah, sorry.
Jim, this is batch 68. Can you imagine how long
correct.
it's been?
68,
Holy shit.
huh?
68 already, man. Still here. But yeah. So, okay. So we have this segment called This or That. And now what we're going to do is we're going to show you two pictures. And you're going to pick this or that. Okay? You can't say both. You can't say I don't want to pick. You just have to pick one.
I have to put my glasses now.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. The pictures are going to be big.
Pictures. Okay.
Wait, wait, hold on. Don't worry. You'll get to see the pictures. Right about now. Okay, here we go.
What do I do?
Pick
Oh, okay. Of course the one this.
Why? Why this?
Because it's got more than double the amount of horsepower.
Okay.
And need I say more? It's more comfortable. It's more comfortable.
You're really a Ducati fan. I mean, you're hands down Ducati fan all the way. You're not a Harley hog rider.
No. I'm
you love speed.
I'm kind of liking bikes that are faster. So I'm yeah. So I'm basically I'm a Ducati fan, and now I have a BMW as well, right? So
okay.
That's another bike I have. So I basically like sport type bikes. So this bike is a sport touring, and my BMW is a sport naked.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you because, dude, how can you go far with the bike, the black bike? I mean, I'm gonna get a backache trying to go far with that.
Good eye, yeah.
Right?
The black bike is basically a nice urban bike, no?
Okay,
nice ride to the city. Maybe
the red one, you can sit up, you can chill, and you can go.
You see, it's a sport. It's a sport bike on stilts. You know, it's a higher bike, so I can take it off road. You know, it's great on the road. Fire trails. So I've taken it all over the country, and it's comfortable. It's like you're sitting on a leather chair. On a sofa, yeah.
But you've been a bike fan since you were a kid, or this came after recently?
I've been a bike fan, but I only started riding in 2017.
Wow.
2017.
So that's pretty much a late bloomer when you think about it.
Yeah, my kids were younger, and I always thought that there was always more risk riding a two-wheel vehicle over a four-wheel vehicle.
Right.
So, but when I was a month before I became a grandfather, I went to the ultrasound of my daughter to look at my grandson a month away from her birth, and while walking home, we passed by the Harley showroom. We walked to the parking, and we happened to pass by the Harley showroom in BGC. I was with my two other kids. I told them, you know what, Franco, Natalia, it's them. If I enter this shop, I'm gonna end up buying one of these Harleys. Because the Harleys always fascinated me in the past.
Exactly, right?
I mean, I had no idea what.
Dude, rock and roll lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The sound of those freaking, the muffler and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's his next one.
Yeah.
Okay, boom.
What's this? This or that?
No, because I know for a fact you're OC, dude. No, I know you're OC. So now you've got a dilemma here. You gotta pick. If you had to pick, which would you pick?
I know. I should show you my refrigerator now, the way my food's fixed. I just fixed it today. But I would go for that.
You would go for that?
Yeah, it's more organized. For me,
But you've got one hanging up there. John Joe, what would you pick?
No, you're asking him what pisses him off.
What pisses you off more is that rather than this.
No, I like that. For me, it seems cleaner than this.
Yeah.
This pisses him off.
Oh, so
Seems
this
more
pisses
organized.
you off. Okay.
I've got only one switch up, but everything else is down, right?
Yeah,
The other one,
and-
the other one, I don't even know what it is. It's confusing.
Yeah,
me.
and the thing is,
A
okay,
manhole. It's a manhole.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
with a manhole, you need special tools to straighten that up. At least with that,
there.
you just need the, yeah.
No, but here's what will piss you off, John Joe. If you want to shut all the lights and they have to be down, but then that one motherfucking light switch is up and it's off. That's gonna mess up your brain, man.
Yeah.
Wait, John Joe's Aussie as well?
A
Well,
bit.
I don't think so.
A bit.
Not at all.
Just a tiny bit.
Iken,
Yeah.
what's your choice?
Me? Dude, this would piss me off.
This will piss you off.
I mean,
Because
so,
you're
yeah.
walking the street and the guy didn't fix that manhole and it just you know what I mean? Just move it a bit to the right and you're done.
I think I would do it.
You do it yourself.
You know how
Iken-
OC I'm getting
Iken's
now?
not on our screen, right? It's behind the scenes.
No. He's
He's
not.
behind us. He's
Okay.
in production.
I was wondering.
You know what's stressing me out actually is that the screws on the switches aren't even aligned. That's what's bugging me.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
not the
see that
switch.
now.
It's the that's what's stressing me out. I'd
Oh,
rather
yeah.
not see the
That's why
flathead
I
screws.
should
But
have
John
worn
Joe,
my,
it's
my
nothing
my-
it's nothing Sile can't address. A little Sile, ayos na yung OC mo pa.
Yeah, that bothers me now with my glasses on. I can see now better.
You can see
Screws.
better, huh? The screws
Those
are really messed up.
those have to be straight. Those have to be straight.
Oh, next.
Mhm.
Vodka or tequila? This or that?
None of them are my favorite. None of them are my.
But if you had to choose and somebody
Okay.
you know,
This. Vodka.
You go for vodka. You go
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
vodka shot, then
Because
a tequila shot?
Because I'm in control longer with vodka. Tequila gets me, fucks me
Messed
up,
up.
basically. Yeah. Faster, yeah.
John Joe, what
Vodka.
would you pick?
Definitely tequila. Tequila. All the
Even if
time.
it's some shitty tequila, you'll choose that.
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
I
'Cause
have had tequila lang.
If it's gonna be offered, it's tequila or shots like that are only offered when it's time to get fucked up. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
go for the tequila.
Yeah. I like
Okay,
vodka.
Jim, this or that, dude.
I enjoyed riding more. I was stronger in that than in this.
Okay, guys,
I'll take
those
that.
who don't know, Jim was also a triathlete. And what was the team? Your polo tri, right?
Ironman, huh? Not just a triathlete. Anyone
But
can be a
Ironman,
triathlete.
yeah. Anybody can be a triathlete, but not an Ironman.
There's a sprint distance, Olympic distance, half Ironman, and a full Ironman. So
And what did you do? What did you do?
I did all of
Holy
those.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, all of those.
Jim. Okay, what time? I mean, when was this? What age were you when you decided to go do this?
2006. I was 41 years old when I started doing triathlons.
Oh,
2006, huh?
Is it because a friend told you, "Come on, Jim, you can do this," or is it something you were so confident about yourself, or you just wanted to challenge yourself?
I wanted the last one. I wanted to challenge myself. I like kasi ticking boxes. And then
Okay.
I'm the type of guy after a couple of years I'll move on and look for some other challenge. That's been me. Rather
Okay.
than being a master of one, I'm a jack of all trades. So
At least you can say you've done it, right? You've
yeah,
tried it, right?
so I'm not like number one in a particular thing, but I know a little bit of many things. That's me. I get
So-
bored. I get bored.
So,
Yeah.
so you rather ride than run, huh? Run, what it just really got your
Yeah,
legs
I'd rather
messed up
ride.
a lot.
I guess I've always enjoyed two wheels.
Yeah.
You know, the feel of the wind against your face.
Yeah.
I like being alone. You're basically by yourself. You can think. You can reflect. You
Nice.
can, many things. Reflect
That's
about the
that's
challenge ahead. Yeah. You think
that's
about
cool.
many things. Yeah. Yeah.
Boom, dude. This or that. You gotta pick one, and don't say you don't want to break it down to chicken or
Okay. So
spaghetti.
basically, I prefer a champ.
You do a
Yeah.
champ. A
Yeah. I
champ.
love it. I love the double champ, big one, so juicy
Yeah.
and sweet and all
Do,
of
do
that.
they do they even sell that yet?
I
No
think.
more.
I think. I
Nah.
think. I think.
But
John Joe.
they brought back the Aloha burger. I'm an
Wait. So
Aloha guy.
they don't make the champ anymore?
No more na.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
that for me that stuck out in Jollibee, the champ, the double patty, juicy
Puta.
little, yeah. But
Yeah.
I like this too, but
Yeah. You go
you know,
for you
you
go for
give
the
me
B. Go for the B.
if you give me their Big Mac and you give me a choice of a Big Mac or a double champ with cheese, I'll take the champ. Yeah,
Nice. Next.
yeah.
Pare. Come on, man. You're Tito
Toyota,
enough.
Toyota, Toyota. Conyos, sa Toyota. Viva la raza, Toyota.
Viva la raza.
Viva la raza, conyo. Arnaiz.
Arnaiz, exactly.
So,
I don't know. John Joe, do you even remember these basketball teams?
Yeah. That's when my dad used to tell me, because I still watch PBA till now. That's why as soon as I saw Chris, I already knew this is a basketball thing. For sure.
Yeah, that brand is no longer around.
Yeah.
Crispa.
Exactly. Okay, now we're going to go to some pictures that I want you to comment, right? Okay, here we go. So, this was what? What is this? Taekwondo, karate? What is
So
it?
this is like no. So I started the martial arts when I was 5 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Who turned you on to that? Is that something because you saw Bruce Lee or something?
No,
or...
so I've always enjoyed the martial arts, but my dad took me to my first judo class for one reason, so that I'd learn how to fall at a young age. Because in judo, what you train for every day is how to fall.
Okay, so you were saying that you learned how to fall.
Yeah, judo. I brought to my first judo class so that at a young age, my dad wanted me to learn how to fall. Right. So judo basically is pretty much grappling. It's throwing. It's throwing, grappling, and control.
Mm-hmm.
So for many years, I was doing that. I was competing in judo.
Yeah.
And then I switched to boxing in my teens. And then I was always fascinated. I didn't know. I was always fascinated with the kick, so I wanted to learn how to kick as well.
Right.
So in '86, I started my training in Taekwondo.
Okay, let me ask you: have you ever used it in a real life situation? Yeah.
A lot of times when I was younger, but my last fight, I fought a lot until I was 19 years old. That was my last fight. And then after that, it became more competition already. I'd fight in competition.
In competition.
So I wasn't anymore as hot-headed. I got old, So yeah. So
then you started drinking and relaxing.
But definitely the judo I used a lot in the streets.
Really?
Yeah. And the boxing. The taekwondo came later already. So the taekwondo was I've never gotten into in a street fight.
But the problem nowadays, Jim, everybody brings a what, right? So it's it sucks, man.
We're old already. Just
But here,
be patient. Yeah.
Well, Jim, you mentioned learning how to fall. Earlier on, we were talking about motorbikes. Have you ever taken a spill on your bike?
Yes. 3 months ago.
Really? So you were
able
to fall.
How do you learn how to fall off a bike?
Why did we fall? Because we got lost, and we got lost in the Cordillera mountain range without any roads, and our bikes weren't made. Our bikes weren't made for that, but we had no choice. We got lost, My bike pretty much is for the street. Fire roads, okay, but when you go through a mountain pass and it's boulders and mud and all of that, my bike's not made for it. And I'm not. That's not my skill level. I like the road. Right?
Yeah, but when you fell, were you okay? Were you okay
go ahead.
when you fell?
When I fell,
Did you roll?
Basically I fell on my right side, and before I fell, I lifted up my head, but because there was a boulder
Oh,
the
shit.
boulder still hit my helmet, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
if it was flat ground, then I would have been fine, right? But it hit my helmet.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you were okay after you rolled.
But I remember, yeah, rolled. Basically I fell, but I was falling and kind of jumped out. But because when there were boulders, when I landed on my foot,
Bam.
made it slipped. No, yeah, yeah.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's a good
So
question, John
yeah,
Joe. Have you ever fallen off your bike, John Joe?
Yeah, yeah. But
And-
like Jim, I learned how to fall because before, like when I would do extreme sports or sports, it was a skill to know how to fall, how to roll. So when I did crash
Yeah.
in the highway, I actually wasn't even wearing protective gear. But since I knew how to fall off,
yeah.
I was able to
What?
get on the bike.
Yeah, but
after
you still
and-
got what? Tocino after your skin.
Tocino
yeah,
yun, yeah. For sure, yeah.
There's Tocino.
For
I hate that.
cruiser riders, it's Tocino talaga.
Yeah.
They don't wear armor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, now I do because of that. Now I
you-
wear
you already,
full
yeah.
armor. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Kahit hindi
Okay.
baga, yeah.
We're gonna continue on this journey with Jim. Okay, here we go. Boom, dude, this guy,
The bastard.
this guy, unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
Greg, right? Greg
Yeah.
Koch. And
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit, the people who don't know, why is this guy such a guru?
Well, this guy is the basically the guy who went against the man. He went. He's the first one to go against established big beers in America, right? With his marketing, with his branding, with his beers. No, he's the one who said, "Okay, let's start making beers that people are not used to." And they made the first, the iconic West Coast IPA, right? That's pretty much where IPA started from the Stone
Right.
IPA. So even
Right.
their branding, it's the iconic West Coast IPA. So basically, they still make it the same way they made it in, I don't know what year it was, 20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
When they started, something like that. Yeah, it still tastes like that. It's a solid IPA. It's not gonna,
But- but this guy
no
was like a
arte.
rock. This guy is like a rock star back then, and you got him to go to your bottle shop, invited some local. I mean, we were only a
30,
handful of brewers,
30
yeah.
or 40, yeah.
And can you tell us how the hell you made that happen?
Well, because as I was starting my craft beer business in 2008, I met him I was invited by the the Brewers Association, U.S. Brewers Association, to Japan
Right.
for a beer dinner. So we happened to sit on the same table with Greg Koch, and that's the
Wow.
first time I met him, and we had a conversation. And at that time, I didn't know him. I knew, we had a conversation, and as I got to know more about craft beer, I was invited to Great American Beer Fest to speak in front of all the brewers.
Wow.
What is it? The Brewers Expo, right?
Right.
To speak, and Greg Koch again, and many other people from at that time, Sam Adams,
Right.
Dogfish Head. They were in the room, and I talked to them about the Philippine craft beer industry. And at that time, there was none. It was like 6 months after I started. So I had to kind of like put fluff in the report, right? But because I got a free ticket, and I got invited more to Great American Beer Fest, and I got to try
all these
so
beers.
many beers. Yeah, so many
But
beers.
I really thank you because you invited me over and meet this guy, and I still have a signed bottle of Greg.
And I still have a few of those in my ref because you can age that till 2046. That's awesome, yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
man. I
Yeah,
had,
awesome.
he signed all our bottles, right? And he did this specific one, Max Burning Rosids, because of there was an accident. One of his
in the brewery in Escondido, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll never forget. He was talking to us about that, and so he did this as a like a tribute.
Yeah.
I mean,
just-
it's great.
I just checked.
Great.
So the Arrogant Bastard came out in 1997.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
when
I
I
think this is
graduated
yeah.
high school.
Who would have
Yeah,
thought, right?
Yeah.
So that old. Okay, let's move on. Boom.
And Stone, I think it was 1996. So yeah, okay.
Jim,
Move on.
the
Oh,
bottle shop.
you're
I
getting my
mean,
glasses.
the memories of this bottle shop is, it's
We
still
had great
there.
times, man. We're almost on our eighth
Dude,
year. It's very different
it's
already now, especially
crazy.
now under COVID and quarantine. It's like,
Oh my
are,
God.
are we gonna
Yeah.
reopen? Who's gonna reopen? You know?
Look at, yeah, exactly. I'm
Is
going to
that
ask you more about that. So here we had the launch. If you look at the top picture where
Yeah.
everybody was wearing God hops, that was the launch for De Puta Madre.
De puta
Okay.
madre.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the Puta Madre launch. And on the right side, you see two pictures. This was the very first meeting of the
Yeah.
Craft Beer
CBAC.
Association. Yes.
CBAC,
The
yeah,
Craft
yeah.
Beer Association of the Philippines.
Yeah.
And then,
that's cool.
yeah, then there was a very first meeting,
Yeah.
and it was in the bottle shop. And then on the lower right is Jim pouring the first carte blanche. We launched
Yeah.
it there. Yeah.
Hey, but Mari, we had many other events before this.
Oh
Remember?
yeah,
When
many,
you'd
many.
bring
I
your-
was
you'd
going
bring
through
your
so.
you-
Oh
you'd
my
bring your-
God!
Remember, you'd bring your kegerator. You had a line outside.
We had a line
Before-
with one
before
keg.
six-
One keg.
Before
Yeah.
before 6 p.m., they were lined outside because we wouldn't serve the beer until 6.
Exactly.
then-
Yeah, and then you had your renovation. Beautiful picture here of the
Yeah.
whole bottle shop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wow,
What did we
the
have?
stories. Look at that, look at that. We had jamming.
Yeah,
That's you belting out on the microphone, man.
Yeah. I don't do that anymore. I don't drink as much.
And then of course we had the regulars. Look at that other picture where Sanju was in charge of the music. That was an
And
80s night.
and this is before Pinchos. You see Miguel Vecin
Yeah,
there,
Miguel's
right?
there.
Exactly. This is
Yeah, there's
before. This was definitely before Pinchos. Everybody would hang out. It was like
Yeah.
the cheers. You know what I mean? Everybody
Yeah,
knew everyone,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And
I
we
remember
had
that time. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that went on there.
Yeah, at that time there were not many choices. So everyone that started here really.
Correct.
If you wanted a craft beer, I think,
that was the place to go. Yeah.
I think
Then
the
you
first-
opened BGC, the bottle shop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
BGC. So
Yes.
what happened here? I mean, this was
Oh,
like
you
a
got-
real.
Oh, your R&D is really good. Are you getting all these pictures? Research. Yeah. This is bringing back memories. Yeah.
So wait, I mean, Jim, you have to tell me. Okay, so moving from Magallanes, you had your safe place. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
BGC, I mean, that's like really going out of your way to like, high rents,
Yeah, this is before Poblacion, huh? BGC
Yeah.
before Poblacion. Yeah. Yeah. So, at that time it was the right
thing to do.
to do at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was the right thing to do. There was not as many competitors. The Magallanes sales were high. It's like we needed it was the time to open up another branch at that time.
Right,
None of
right.
the tap rooms and brew houses in Poblacion were open yet at that time in 2015. Yeah.
Not yet, no?
Yeah, so it was a time to have one in Makati and one in BGC because BGC was like the happening place, right?
Yeah,
Everyone
right.
wanted to be in BGC.
Correct. Now, okay, let's speak about COVID. You've seen, I mean, you went through all these years, right? You expanded, you went into BGC, you saw Poblacion open. Then when you started, we were only a handful of brewers. Okay.
Yeah, it was Katipunan, Craft Point, you, who else? Baguio Craft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Not much, right?
That was it. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
well, the
First
very
store.
first one I think was Pivo Prava, right? They're still around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We're there.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess you
Yeah.
could consider that the first brewery.
The very
no?
first local
Yeah.
craft beer
True,
because
yeah.
they were brewing off of JP Rizal, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then of course Katipunan, great, awesome brand, right?
Yeah.
They're there.
Indio.
They came out.
Yeah.
Indio, right?
Yeah.
Indio Pale Ale. What an awesome.
You guys came out around, within the same year, I think. Four or five of you. Who was the fifth? Yeah, it was Baguio Craft. You were before that.
Yeah.
Before Baguio Craft. Yeah.
So now, okay, looking back and now where we are, we're like what, 60? John Joe, what's the last count? 60, 70 brewers?
60 registered. And
Okay.
then about 10 to 15 unregistered, the home brewers.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were bringing in all this imported beer. things started changing on the FDA. They got it. Everybody started getting very strict with regards to safety. And like you said, when you first imported your beer to what it was, fast forward a couple of years, things changed.
There, yeah.
Now, okay, so those are challenges that usually, you roll with the punches. Now,
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
ask you, COVID-19,
Yeah.
what is this doing to us?
So this is basically this is basically changing the game like we none of us has experienced, right? Because
Yeah.
basically, I mean, for a lot of us supply to food and beverage accounts. That's pretty much that's like tourism. That's gone, right? Until
Yeah,
there's a vaccine, and that vaccine is gonna come what, a year from now. By that time, you have to already change the way you're doing business, or you're dead, right?
yeah,
By the time
yeah,
the vaccine is already here, you would have already changed your business, so you might not go back. Many won't go back to the way they were doing it in the
Yeah.
past, right? Yeah. So now
So,
I guess it's obvious. Everyone's gotta go from B to B to B to straight to the mouth, right? Yeah.
wow.
It's
Because it's
direct to
like no
mouth.
choice, no choice,
Direct
right?
to mouth. Yeah, yeah. I would. I don't know if you'd wanna do what we are doing in the bottle shop, or all next to each other in an enclosed space. Just not safe, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no. It's gonna take some time before you know the F&B
So it,
industry
it looks
recovers.
like,
Yeah.
this is how we're going to be cheering, from
Yeah,
across
that's it.
some,
Yeah,
you
yeah. It's
know.
not. It's not the same, but at least it's yeah. It's gonna be, what's the word now? Inumans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inumans.
Inuman.
Yeah, yeah. Inumans. Yeah. For me, it's not the same. For me at least, I'd prefer to drink.
Mhm.
I prefer to drink by myself than
Yeah, exactly.
unless as a regular thing. Unless there's really
Right.
something like this where we have to talk about something. But if it's just to sit down with your buddies and look at each other in the screen, and cheers, 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 it's not
Yeah.
the same, right?
Yeah.
In fact, it
So
feels sad because it's not the same, right?
correct,
Mhm.
correct.
This is nice because it's an interview. We have
Yeah.
a it's
Yeah. It's
but
not really an inuman. This is more like getting to know who you
yeah,
are,
this is
Yeah.
and
yeah.
that's,
But
being a
so
pillar, being a pioneer in the craft beer
yeah,
industry of the Philippines. I mean, a lot of people don't know your story, Jim. A lot of
yeah,
people, see snippets here and there,
yeah,
the
yeah,
guru, the pioneer, you came up with your bottle shop,
yeah,
and then,
yeah,
but all of these other
yeah.
things that you did, so it's a
Mm,
very interesting thing. Okay,
mm.
moving on. I gotta,
There
let's
are
see.
many
Here we go. Okay,
there are many players now, no, who oh, there, okay.
okay.
What's this?
Let's
Yeah.
Another
But
see.
if
picture?
Dude.
uh,
Same one. Ah, there. There. My modeling days.
Okay, so when the hell did you decide to do a toothpaste commercial or print
Uh,
ad? How
I
old are
think
you then?
I think I was 10 years older. This is 75. They came to my school, some what you call them, scouts, right?
Yeah,
Scouts,
yeah,
yeah.
the scouts. Yeah.
And who'd work for, I guess, I don't know, I forget, J. Walter Thompson, McCann Erickson, the old school ad agencies, right?
Yeah, that's
They'd
how
go
you
to
get
schools.
discovered, dude. That's how you get discovered. You end up
Yeah,
in Regal Films or something.
that's how it was. So they entered basically the classroom looking at all the kids. And then
They're
they
like,
said, "You come." Yeah. Yeah. So
holy cow.
I got the lead role. I got the lead role. So instead of this, the guru now does that. Yeah. That's the guru, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's classic. That logo, I mean, that's brilliant, man. I think
Yeah.
Maxine did that, right?
Maxine did it,
Maxine
yeah.
did that.
Maxine did it, yeah. Yeah.
She's done all our labels, right? She's
Yeah.
brilliant, and
Yeah, yeah.
she
Very
did the
good, yeah.
Pioneer as well. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Guru, pioneer, and up yours. And up yours.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
up
yeah.
yours. So
Yeah.
what's next for Jim? What's next for Jim? What are you gonna do? What are you up to, man?
You
What's up?
know, what in the industry or what?
On anything. What's your next passion? I mean, we
You
all
know,
know you're riding. We
I
all know
enjoy.
you built a beautiful place up there in the hills,
Yeah, it's
and
such
you're
a yeah.
enjoying your grandchildren, right?
Yeah. What's next for me? I'm gonna take it easy a bit now, especially now with the situation we're all facing right now. I think it's time
Mhm.
now to step back a bit, reflect, simplify things,
Right,
and
right.
let other people
enjoy.
do what I was doing before, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
It's time
Yeah.
to, I mean,
Pass the
there's a lot of
torch.
them. Yeah, there's
It's
a
like
whole
passing the torch
bunch of them.
already.
Yeah,
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 there's a lot of things going out there. It's not, it's different. The industry is different.
Mm.
I've been doing it since 2008, 12 years already. Yeah, there's a lot of
Wow.
players already. Let them
Their
have
time.
their time.
I'm
I'll
in the
just
sun.
chill. I'll just
Yeah.
ride my bike. Go up, enjoy a lot of things. But still, but it's still simple. The business will be simple. We'll simplify
Yeah.
the business. You gotta
Right.
simplify the business. It's survival of the fittest mode, not just for us catching COVID. We gotta be
Right.
smart about that, right? We
Right.
gotta be smart about that. Let's not let our guard down. But it's also time to simplify things.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
less for
Jim.
me is more.
Yeah.
Well,
Jim.
we were talking about the inumans, diba?
Yeah.
Inuman can actually get boring if you're
Yes.
drinking the same old stuff over and
Yes.
over and over again.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
possibly, I'm just talking out of the back of my head.
Yeah.
This possibly could be the renaissance of craft beers or select beers because people are going to be drinking alone at home. And if you
Yeah.
keep drinking the same thing, you're going to get sawa.
It's not-
And
yeah,
you don't have a bartender on standby waiting to make you cocktails. So
Right.
maybe this is the time where people really get to experiment with all
Yeah.
the different kinds of brews or
Yeah, exactly.
spirits,
Yeah.
diba?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
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 But I mean, there's nothing like being across someone and really enjoying how
Yeah.
it was to be enjoyed before, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we did a lot of that, Jim, right? We did a lot of that with all the friends in the bottle shop.
So
And
yeah,
I hope it comes back. I hope it
yeah,
comes back.
we'll see how it goes. Maybe not just me, but maybe others will have to temporarily shut down
Right.
when things normalize and you come back stronger, right? But basically, all of us have to think about what we want to do right now. We can't say, "Oh, we'll keep it," or we won't, right?
Right.
We gotta see how it's going, But if you can't if you can't attract a crowd into
Yeah.
your establishment, how is one gonna survive? You're gonna
Right.
put plastic in between people? I don't know. I'm old school. That doesn't, I think
Wait,
I'd rather do inuman than have a plastic.
And have
between
a
you and me,
plastic
right?
curtain right beside
Yeah,
you, right? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
It's not
old
gonna
school.
happen.
Maybe the young
Yeah.
guys will think of something, but for me, it's like, I enjoy beers about memories, right?
Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
memories with my abuelito. Going back to
Yeah.
that, memories with my
Yeah.
friends, memories in the bottle shop with your
Correct.
launches.
Mhm.
It's not the same.
Yeah. Well, Jim, thanks for leading the way, bro. And this is
You're
a
welcome.
great podcast. I think this is a great episode. We've learned a lot about you, and many people out there, has really
you,
learned
thanks.
about the guy, the guru, the
Mhm.
pioneer. And without you, things would have been different, man. I wouldn't be doing the stuff I do, right? And this is a
Yeah,
passion thing for me,
You think
right?
so? No, thank you.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Jim. And good to have you with us, buddy.
Hey, thanks, guys. We're done, no?
We're done, buddy.
Thanks, Manny,
Yep,
John,
that's
Joe,
it.
and
Think
Iken,
about
man.
it. Iken, how long was it? It's like
This is 52 minutes.
52
That's-
minutes went by that quick, man.
Yep.
Look, parang bitin. I want to do inuman.
I know.